Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. This may be our most requested video as of today. Everybody wants us to do a video and talk about potential future NHL cities. And there's a lot, really. I mean, there's not a lot, but there's a few who have really good chances. And then there's some far-fetched ones that are kind of just, at the back of the list. But we're going to talk about them anyway. We want to explore all the options here. So I have about, maybe 11 or 12 here. And we're going to start with the Canadian potential cities and go down into the American potential cities.
Okay.
I have the population of the lowest ranking NHL team. So the NHL team with the lowest population city. That's Winnipeg. They've got 663,000 people. So that's kind of the benchmark. If Winnipeg can support a team population-wise with that number, then these cities should be in and around that. Would you not say?
I would. Certainly in Canada they should be. In the States,
Exactly.
The same size city might not be able to because there would be fewer hockey fans mixed into that population.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start off with Quebec City. Now, this is a city you're very familiar with.
Very.
You grew up in Quebec, not Quebec City, but you grew up in Quebec. They had a team before, obviously the Nordiques, as everyone probably knows who's watching. What's your thoughts on them getting a team, and are they close? Are they ready? And yeah,
They're definitely ready.
They're ready.
They submitted a bid to the NHL.
$500 million.
NHL has not turned down the bid. They've just put it in suspension for now. It's deferred. You've said it before on some of your videos, and you're quite right. Quebec's problem is not anything to do with Quebec.
Yeah.
They have a fantastic facility, the new Videotron Center that they've built. It seats 18,000 plus people. It's a beautiful facility, and it's just waiting for an NHL team to be in there.
It is.
And every seat will be filled when it happens. I have no doubt about that.
For every game, yep.
Right. The mayor's on board. The previous prime minister is on board. I'm sure the current prime minister is on board as far as, government support for whatever needs to be done, tax-wise,
Yep.
property-wise, whatever. It's the perfect place, the next Canadian place that should have an NHL team.
I don't know how it can't be the next Canadian NHL team. It has to be.
Yeah, and the only reason it isn't is because it's in the East.
Exactly. There's a balance problem.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference already has 16 teams.
16 teams, yeah.
And the mathematics don't work if it has any more than 16. Either you move a team, an existing team or more teams into the West, which becomes a geographical problem, or you wait until the West gets parity and then there's room for another Eastern team to show up.
Yeah.
So that's terribly unfortunate.
It is.
There was some talk in the past about a team moving from the East into Quebec. Maybe that would have been the Atlanta Thrashers, or maybe that would have been
Arizona Coyotes.
Arizona from the West even.
Who knows?
Yeah. But that hasn't happened, and is less likely to happen as time goes on, because some of those teams that were on the edge, on the brink, they're starting to make better deals with their property management and their cities where they are now, less likely to have to leave those cities. So Quebec is waiting. They deserve a team. They had a team. And it must be so annoying for those folks.
Very frustrating.
The team leaves in 1995. The franchise becomes the Colorado Avalanche and wins the Stanley Cup the following season.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
So frustrating.
So Quebec wants a team. They deserve a team.
Yep.
And they will have a team.
Absolutely. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And their population is 531,000. All right, moving on to Hamilton. This is an interesting story because Jim Balsillie a couple of years ago tried to bring an NHL team to Hamilton. He tried to move
Pittsburgh at one point, wasn't it?
I thought it was when they were called the Phoenix Coyotes.
It's probably been more than one, but I think he had his eyes on Pittsburgh before Lemieux got in.
Yeah, and he made a bid as well, and then the owners declined it or something. I don't know the whole story. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but Hamilton is a city in Ontario. It's got 721,000 people. So within the city, it's got enough to support an NHL team. Plus, you need to count the surrounding areas as well.
Yeah, Burlington, Niagara Falls. There's, even west of there, like London, Guelph. That's all way easier for those people to go to Hamilton for a hockey game than it is for them to go into Toronto.
Yeah. Nobody wants to go into Toronto.
Yeah. But the problem with Hamilton is it's so close to Toronto. It's less than 50 miles. And it's less than 50 miles from Buffalo.
Yes.
It's halfway between. As you're going from Toronto to Buffalo around Lake Ontario, you drive through Hamilton.
Yeah. That trifecta
the
rivalry there would be great for hockey.
It'd be great for hockey, but hard to pull those fans in different directions.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I think the way the league is structured, I think Toronto and Buffalo each have a veto on whether Hamilton could form or not.
Oh, really?
I think there's actually a veto.
Interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think they have a veto. Yeah.
Do you think that they could support do you think a team in Hamilton, A, is plausible or possible, and B, good for the city? Like, do you think they can actually support a team? Or do you think they would grow old and...
I don't know. Hamilton has a great tradition of hockey. They've had an AHL teams
Yep.
in there. They've had Ontario major junior teams in there, OHL teams. And they've done well with those, the Bulldogs. And there's a great hockey tradition in Hamilton without question.
And I think they have a rink
The Cops Coliseum.
that could house, and it's big enough, isn't it?
Barely.
Barely, yeah.
Barely. It would be tight. I think ticket prices would have to be higher, but when you're used to paying what you're paying in Toronto to go to a hockey game,
Yeah.
probably still look like a deal.
Yeah.
But Hamilton is an industrial town. It rises and falls on the economy. A lot of steel production there.
Right.
So Hamilton may have a bad downturn in a year or two or 10 years from now, and that may make a hockey team a big risk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Saskatoon.
Oh, yeah.
So, pretty low population here, 246,000, but you need to take in consideration the rest of that area and the whole province in general, basically. Mm-hmm. Do you think a team could actually work there?
I don't think, obviously the Saskatchewan Roughriders work,
Very successful.
but they play a home game on average every 2 weeks
Yeah.
over the course of the summer and into the fall. So they play, 10 games maybe.
Yep.
It's easy to bring all of Saskatchewan into the stadium for a football
Right.
game. Bringing 15 or 16,000 people, which is the size of their arena, into Saskatoon 41 times at least.
Yeah.
All those people flooding in from all over Saskatchewan, they would have to, because Saskatoon itself is too small, I think.
Yeah.
And Saskatoon, it's a big province. It's really spread out.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Regina is another city in Saskatchewan that would compete, I think, for the population base.
That's
And
the
they're not
capital, isn't it?
Regina's the capital, yeah. I think it'd be a tough go.
It would be. It may be like not anytime soon for sure. 15 years down the road, maybe something like that.
Maybe, but it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the list. This hits a little close to home because it's Halifax. Now, you got the Mooseheads there, a very popular team. Mm-hmm. Halifax has a population of 403,000, so actually not that far off from Winnipeg's population.
No.
But still not quite there. It's not really in a great location for the rest of the Maritimes. It's in southern Nova Scotia, down along the water.
That's right. Halifax, it's the biggest city in Atlantic Canada.
It is.
In Atlantic Canada, and obviously in the Maritimes as well.
Yeah.
It does have, a large population draw in an hour's drive away, from Truro, Liverpool, Windsor, all coming into town.
Yep.
They could do well. They do not have an arena that's big enough.
That's correct.
The Metro Center's not going
Yeah,
to stage
they have to
NHL
build an
hockey.
arena, yeah.
And based on where the Metro Center is downtown, I don't see how you can make it any bigger.
Oh, no, there's no way.
It's surrounded, and the geography is just impossible. So
Yeah.
I think you're stuck building something new.
I think so too. Yeah.
So now you're talking $400 or $500 million just
Yep.
to make an ice surface that they may come to. And you're quite right about the geography. There's so many other people that would be drawn to an Atlantic Canadian NHL team.
Oh, yes.
But they're too far from Halifax.
Exactly. And that segues me into the next city. Probably the most far-fetched and crazy city on this list is Moncton, New Brunswick, very close to us as well. It's got a population of 144,000, so not very many people. However, if there was an NHL city in Moncton, all of New Brunswick would be on board. I can see people from up north driving all the way down to Moncton to see a game,
Oh, yeah.
an NHL game. And Moncton it's kind of the central point of Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. So you'd have Nova Scotians coming up to see games. You'd have Prince Edward Islanders coming over to see games, and you'd have New Brunswickers going to see games. The hub would be Moncton. So the population is 144,000. But if you take into consideration the whole province of New Brunswick, which really isn't that big, they've got 753,000. If you take PEI's population, 146,000. And then you take Nova Scotia's population, which is 942,000. That's 1.8 million people that could potentially come into the Moncton area for a game.
And probably at least 1 million of those would be within a 2-hour drive.
Exactly. And
Halifax is 2 hours from Moncton.
Yeah.
St. John is less than 2 hours. Fredericton is less than 2 hours. Bathurst, New Brunswick
Yes.
is a little more than 2 hours. Miramichi is less than 2 hours. Charlottetown, Summerside, less than 2 hours to Moncton.
Yeah. The location is really great.
It is.
It'll never work because of Gary Bettman, and
Yeah.
it's just...
If Quebec can't have a team,
Quebec can't have a team.
We're
Moncton,
gonna-
New Brunswick's not having a
never
team.
having a team.
Maybe in 20 years or
Yeah,
something
but
like
Moncton is a very good hockey city.
that. It is.
Ray Bourque's ancestral home is Moncton, and Ray Bourque's dad's from Moncton. Moncton's got great hockey culture. The Wildcats are a big thing in town, and it's a great place to grow hockey, and it would be popular.
It would be it would be huge.
You could fill the rink 41 times in Moncton.
100%. You could have 82 home games and fill the rink every time.
Yeah.
I 100% agree that. I would buy season tickets for sure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the United States. Let's talk about Seattle first, because that's kind of the most popular option here. They've got 668,000 people. So in the ballpark of Winnipeg, only 3,000 more people or population than Winnipeg. So kind of in the same ballpark there. The Western Conference really needs another team to help balance this out.
Really badly.
Everything points to Seattle getting a team soon. They will, in my opinion, be the next NHL franchise in general, as well as the next U.S. team. Do you think they'll actually get a team?
I do. I think it's inevitable.
I think it is too. Inevitable. Perfect word.
Yeah, they have to get a team. This is the 100th anniversary of the Stanley Cup being awarded to the Seattle Metropolitan.
They've
They've won a Stanley Cup.
A cup.
They've got a great hockey culture in the city.
Yeah.
They've got smaller arenas all around the Seattle, Tacoma, Everett.
Big hockey city.
It's a big hockey city. They want hockey badly. They just don't have a place to play. They have the opposite problem of Quebec.
Exactly.
Quebec's got a beautiful arena and no way to get a team based on the numbers. Seattle doesn't have an arena and all kinds of population and interest in hockey.
Yeah, and geographically, I mean, it's close to
yeah.
Vancouver, just across the little pond there, that stretch of water.
Yeah.
The rivalry would be great, and even down south to the California teams, there'd probably be a rivalry there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, and most important of anything, it would help balance out the whole NHL as a whole.
Oh, it would be great. Seattle's, going through really a double-edged sword. One is to rebuild the Key Arena into a hockey venue. Right now, it's just not made for that. It just isn't. You can have an exhibition game there, a one-off, but you can't run a team in there.
Yeah.
So do you build that up and spend hundreds of millions of dollars turning it into a hockey arena, or do you forget the Key Arena idea and build something brand new? And that's the tug of war that's happening municipally in the Seattle-Tacoma area. But it's a great hockey market. Seattle has teams in the Western Hockey League in the Seattle area. There's a couple there that play, and they're good. And it's a shame that Seattle doesn't have a hockey team.
It's a big shame, but I'm hoping the announcement will come soon, maybe within the next year,
It'd be nice.
year and a half, that an agreement will come to, and they'll have an arena in place or arena plan in place, and within the next 5 years, hopefully we'll see a team in Seattle. But
that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, next on the list is Houston at 2.24 million people, and Houston used to have a team in the
In the WHA, the Houston Aeros.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They even won their cup, I think, twice with Gordie Howe and his two sons.
So it is a kind of a hockey city, and they do have other teams there as well. Currently, it's a big sports city.
Huge.
So
huge.
do you think it could work?
Hockey, NHL hockey, I'm not sure. They're very coastal, Gulf. They're on the Gulf of Mexico. So is Tampa. So it worked in Tampa, but Houston is quite a bit far south. It's different than Dallas. A lot different.
It
than
is,
Dallas. There's a couple of million people who live in the area, but I think I read somewhere that only about 170,000 would identify themselves as hockey fans.
Okay.
Which is only a small percentage of the population. So that makes it tough. Not only in terms of filling the rink, but in the taxpayer support to even have hockey.
That's true.
The other 2 million are going to say, well, why should I pay this in my taxes or take a break there if they're going to play something I don't want to watch?
Yeah.
So it's a tough go for Houston, I would say.
All right.
So.
Well said.
Yeah.
Moving on to Kansas City. There's been a lot of talk about Kansas City the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Another city with some hockey history. They've got 470,000, so a little low on the population there, but of course surrounding areas as well.
Yeah.
Do you think the Kansas City could work?
I think there's a better chance there than Houston.
Did they have an arena?
They do.
Yeah.
It's called the Sprint Center.
Right.
And it's got like 18 or 19,000 seats. Now, that might only be for basketball. It might not be
Could
for
be.
hockey, because hockey, you have to remove spectators to make the ice bigger than a basketball court.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, it would have, at least 16 or 17,000 seats. That's built, new. It's, I think that's, a better possibility. The other problem that afflicts Houston, though, I think afflicts Kansas City. As you said, they do have a bit of a hockey energy going on. Mm-hmm. Whether they have enough to run an NHL team with a fan base that would be probably pretty small would be tough.
It would be tough.
But I would have said that about Nashville. I would have said that about Carolina. And I would have said that about Arizona and Columbus.
Maybe, yeah.
So what do I know?
Yeah. It could work. Who knows?
Good.
All right. This is an interesting one. Hartford.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so Hartford obviously had a team in the NHL before, the Hartford Whalers.
They did.
The population of Hartford is only 124,000 people. However, as you already know, that whole surrounding area is basically just one city. The population extends from the entire province of, or the entire state of New Hampshire.
Connecticut, actually.
And Connecticut and northern Boston. And
it's a big metropolitan area.
Yeah.
You've got Newington in the south, you've got Wethersfield in the north, you've got lots of population around there that probably could support a team because they did in the past.
Yeah.
And, Hartford, I don't think was a failure like Atlanta was failed twice. I don't think Hartford failed in the same way.
I agree. Yeah.
Boston wouldn't like the competition.
No.
They didn't like it last time. They won't like it this time. But Hartford, well, not so much Hartford, but if you get down like towards Bridgeport and southern Connecticut, you're into the New York metro area now.
Yeah.
There are people who live in southern Connecticut who probably go to Islanders games or go to New Jersey Devils games, and maybe they become fans. So they're drawing away from that culture, and maybe some of the eastern Connecticut would be Boston fans. So it could be tough, but Hartford made it happen in the past.
They've got a loyal fan base.
They do.
Like they have every once in a while, you'll watch a game and you'll see someone in the stands with a Hartford jersey on. It's like, oh, that's cool. But yeah,
I love their logo.
I'd like to see. Yeah, I do too. I'd like to see a team back in Hartford.
It'd be nice. Yeah.
All right, Oklahoma, 620,000 people. How do you feel about this?
Oklahoma is Oklahoma City.
Yes,
Oklahoma. Oklahoma's the state. They have a new arena. It seats enough people.
Ooh.
They do. It's called the Chesapeake Energy Arena, and it seats just under 18,000 for hockey, probably. So they've got that.
Location-wise, there could be some interesting rivalries there.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Like they would set up as a good rival to St. Louis, a good rival to Dallas.
I was thinking those two teams. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's possible. I have absolutely no idea if there's any hockey interest or culture in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This large facility that they've built is not for hockey.
Yeah.
It will include hockey, and they've put ice capability in there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Indianapolis, 858,000 people. So pretty above Winnipeg here on the population scale. How do you feel about Indianapolis? Location-wise, some potential rivalries there as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're actually not too far out of the sphere of Columbus on one side, and Chicago, and kind of north and west of there. Indianapolis is kind of in the center of Indiana, so they're not up near Gary or places that are going to be in the Chicago zone.
Right.
They would have their own market area. Clearly, they can put 300,000 people into an automobile speedway.
Yeah, big sports city.
Big sports city, and they've got a great history. Indianapolis, or Indiana generally, has a strong basketball tradition.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if any of that translates into hockey interest at all, or very much. A lot of university sports there that people are very big on. Indiana's it's a great state.
Yeah.
I've been through there. I love it. I don't know how it would do for hockey, but yeah.
All right, let's move on again to Portland.
Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
Not Portland, Maine. Portland, Oregon.
Boston really wouldn't like that.
Yeah, no, 619,000 people. Mm-hmm. So pretty close to Winnipeg. Location-wise, I think it's really great. You'd have some rivalries with the three Canadian teams kind of up there. maybe the California teams, a potential Seattle team if it came.
Oh, Seattle-Portland rivalry.
Oh,
if they
it'd be
both
huge,
came on, it'd be awesome. Yeah.
And Portland's got some hockey teams in there as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty decently good hockey city.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I think, I don't know what they have for facilities.
Yeah,
same problem maybe as Seattle has, I don't know. But I think hockey would have a better chance of catching on in a place like Portland that already has a bit of a culture now.
Yeah, I agree.
Than maybe it would in Oklahoma or Houston. But yeah, I'd be all in favor, although Seattle would be like, not before us.
Yeah, Seattle would get a team before Portland.
Yeah,
for
I would think
sure.
so. Yeah.
All right, last on this list is Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
600,000 people, population. Big sports city.
Big sports city.
Big sports city.
Yeah.
I don't know what they have for an arena, do you?
I do. They have, actually they're building one right now.
Ooh.
The Wisconsin Entertainment and Sports Center. They dug ground, I think, or broke ground last year. It's going to be finished next year. Looks like it's going to have 17,500 seats, and they are putting in hockey. Now, there's already an AHL, I think, presence in Milwaukee that plays in a different arena.
Milwaukee Admirals.
Yes, and they can't move. They're in a 10-year contract where they are. And they're in a nice little spot that they played in for years. It's been renovated, but it's not big enough for NHL. So this new one will be hockey ready and NHL sized.
Wow.
Both in seating and in overall market, I think.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Wisconsin, and I love Wisconsin. Yeah, as you know, I spent a lot of time in Wisconsin, going to Oshkosh, and so I'm very familiar. Milwaukee can draw from an area that maybe not too far south of there because they're getting close to Chicago.
Yeah.
But from north of there, look at Green Bay. Green Bay is a little place, but they put thousands and thousands of people in to see the Packers play, and those cheeseheads they're crazy, and they love their sports.
The Wisconsin-Minnesota rivalry would be great.
Would be great
for hockey,
and there'd be a great Milwaukee-Chicago rivalry as well. It would be outstanding. And you've got towns nearby. You've got Madison, that's just maybe less than an hour's drive west of there. You've got the whole Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, Appleton area that could come south to watch hockey.
Yep.
And I think it would be amazing. I think Milwaukee would be a great, and it'd be a Western team.
Yeah.
Which
they'd be in the
want
West.
And the rivalry situation would be amazing. And they're not that close to Chicago that Chicago would have a veto or have anything legally to say about it.
Exactly, yeah.
They're 90 or so or 95 miles north of Chicago, so they're outside that zone. Probably there's lots of hockey fans in Milwaukee that maybe now watch games in Chicago, for all I know, because that's the closest team, NHL team. I don't know. Maybe Chicago would see a bit of a dip in some of their attendance if Milwaukee had a team, but that's a problem they would cross later.
Yeah.
I think there's always room for Vince Vaughn in the Chicago. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you two final questions.
All right.
If you could pick two Canadian cities that we talked about to get prediction-wise, obviously probably Quebec's number one, but number two, what's the next Canadian city after Quebec to get a hockey team?
I think it's one we haven't talked about.
Ooh.
I think it's one we haven't talked about.
Hit me with it.
It would be another team in the greater Toronto area.
Another GTA team? Yeah.
Another GTA team like Markham or Oakville or someplace. Right in the Leafs' backyard.
You don't think they'd veto that?
I think they might try. And I think maybe they would veto it, but having a veto and exercising that veto maybe costs you as well. Cost you in good sportsmanship points. The Toronto Maple Leafs will always sell out the ACC.
Yeah.
They will always fill that rink. In the 70s and 80s, Toronto Maple Leaf fans went and watched crappy teams lose all the time, and they filled that arena. I think Leaf fans, dedicated Leaf fans, shouldn't mind seeing a team nearby because that'll make the Leafs better.
That's true. It would. It would.
I think so.
It would add a little bit more to the Ontario rivalry with Ottawa as well.
That's right.
Another team to Ontario would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's been done before. And we've got New York City. The New York metropolitan area supports 3 hockey teams.
Oh, yeah.
And less than 2 hours away, you've got Philadelphia. Yeah. And another hour or 2 hours from there, you got Washington, you got Pittsburgh. You can pack a lot of hockey teams into a metro area.
Absolutely.
And Toronto's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
You could, hockey fan-wise, you could probably support 3 teams there. They would sell, obviously we love our hockey in Canada, so I can see 3 teams probably working in Toronto. But all right, moving on to the United States. Your top 3 teams, you think, in order?
Yeah. Seattle.
Seattle, Seattle number 1.
I got excited about Milwaukee when we were just talking about it. I wasn't before, but I'm excited about Milwaukee. And third, maybe Portland.
Portland? Yeah, okay.
Maybe Portland, because I just don't know enough about Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Houston.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion that we had. We tried to pick as many plausible cities as possible, and even some probably not even close to being possible cities, but we thought it was worth the discussion anyway. Yeah. So if you like this video, hope you hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hope you hit the subscribe button and join us here for all kinds of hockey conversations. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Adios.